pacing has been a problem for me for a while. And so today I decided to make that priority number one for this Weekend Wednesday. So these are my, as executed, Weekend Wednesday pacing notes, 13 August 2025. Here I, Tanis Leonhardi of Seattle, provide my notes on my pacing of my Weekend Wednesday today, 13 August 2025. This includes a general observation for contextualization. So pacing here is focused on like the living of life in a well-paced manner, and it's it can be thought of as timekeeping, but it's kind of where timekeeping and like excellent time management meets the chaos and routine of normal life and just getting like things done and enjoying life. So time management is part of it, however it is not all of it. And I might describe it a bit as in a day I have things I want to get done. There's things that kind of come about naturally, be it spontaneously or just kind of like it just logically follows. It's a corollary of something that's already happened. And so can think of, there's everything to do in a day and how it ends up distributed. So kind of spaced out with a tempo, or some who might like a music analogy, a melody. There's a melody of the day in terms of how things get done and what gets done. And so it's kind of pacing, is there's a bit of a rhythm in just how what gets done, how it gets done, and when it gets done. And so pacing, was today well paced and why? Yes. And so the A+ day for varied tasks, eating, and videos covering a lot of what I did, yet not everything. This provides me a workspace of sorts for figuring out potential future content. Yes. Was it not well paced? Why? No, it was well paced. I put it as my number one priority for the day. It took a lot of my focus, but I did it well. Had I not given it so much attention, it may not have been so well paced. So essentially kind of thinking of, instead of a list of tasks for the day, I kind of, pacing for me means I come up with a list of tasks for the day and I put them in chronological order for when I want to get them done. And essentially if a day is well paced, I may get things done earlier than I had intended, without being rushed and still having downtime. And bonus, so to speak, stuff not planned but that like fits for the day may enter the picture. And my YouTube content was an interesting one because I had a few videos planned and I was like, I don't like this spacing kind of pacing in what I'm posting and like when I'm posting. And so there were a few videos that came into existence today that I had not necessarily planned for today because it was like, I want to, my number one for today focus is actually pacing. So essentially everything I do, pacing is my number one for when it gets done, how it gets done, that kind of thing, and what gets done. And so I got way more done today than I had intended, and partially it was being like, if I thought I was being indecisive or couldn't make up my mind or whatever, it was like well paced, and I was like, then I need to add something or I need to remove something, but I didn't actually end up needing to remove stuff. So what ended up happening is I was like, all right, I'm going to remove this. And then somehow I got things done fast enough that I ended up adding back in what I had removed because I had done everything else so well. And I was like, I just had 20 minutes of downtime and now do I have time for that? Oh, I removed like all of this and I just added it all back in. Because I ended up with downtime I wouldn't have had. I would have been like mentally taxed, and so I was like, there we go. So what's my general observation for contextualization? This doesn't emerge entirely on my own. The critters help. So we have abnormally high critter offspring success rates this 2025 year thus far. Perhaps this is due to co-evolution of the critters and me, Tanis, she, her, hers of Seattle. One recent example, an offspring of Scar Baby has made its debut in Coming to Critter Mealtime. And I point this out because observations elsewhere in life, such as the critters having abnormally high success rates, which means me interacting with like critters that are behaving, they're a different age, they're different, you know, each one has their own personality. They might be like more exploratory, or I have to direct them a little more. It requires changes in my behavior, but I also have to be able to observe that so I can change my own conduct. And so essentially observational changes that I observe elsewhere can play into better pacing in my own life, just to, because it kind of keeps me mentally agile, if that makes good, cognitive agility, so to speak. So it was well paced, A+, and it was effortful to make it well paced. However, it turned out much better than I had even intended or planned or imagined. So that was very cool. So that's as executed, weekend Wednesday pacing notes, 13 August 2025.